Normally I actually put in the little 30-second clip thing with the little corgi, and I totally forgot to hit it this morning. So that's where we're at on a Saturday morning here at the PJ Campbell Network. Welcome back to our Mandalorian recap. I'm here with Maxwell Haddad. What's up, my friend?
I was genuinely upset that you forgot the countdown, both because it's my pre-show ritual and I like watching that furry butt shake.
Me too. I feel bad that I forgot to click on it, but that's where we are. It's a Saturday morning. It was a long night. I just saw Frank.
That was not me. That was not me.
It was this guy, and I saw Frank literally roll his eyes. Just like, are we really doing this? Well, now we know. It was Sean. You might as well.
I'm rolling my eyes at the fact that Frank's even here. So,
well, when Jake Berlin can't be here, we have to have some semblance of a human. Well, Sean's here too. Hi, Sean. You're just causing chaos like out the gate.
I'm only going to communicate with video clips today. So
please don't. Please don't do that. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a little tired. Still recovering from last weekend and the fact that I don't ever get any sleep.
Yeah.
So I'm here.
Good. Well, I'm glad to have you, Maxwell. Are you? You want to take us through the week real quick before we get started?
I just also want to say how tired I am. How tired I am.
I was gonna say, did you just stumble all over words? We're in for a good day. It's a good morning.
How tired I am. Specifically because this bearded gentleman below me kept me up real late last night. We're talking 6:30 a.m. my time.
That sounds right.
Well, I wish I had one of those.
I have some downstairs. I'm going to have some soon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Let's go through.
Oh, hey.
Oh, wow.
This is madness, Christian. This is about to be madness.
It's going to be madness. This is what happens pretty much every episode of this show. It's just chaos.
This is how we do it. All right, let's go through some show notes. We got some really exciting stuff coming up on the network in the next few days. First of all, as you know, we have a Patreon, and I bring this up exclusively because tonight, if you're a $5 and up patron, we're having our second patron-exclusive Q&A. I don't know what that photo is. Maybe it's mashed potatoes. I can't eat that. I'm on a no-carb diet. But you still have a chance. If you want to join our patron at the $5 and up tier before tonight, I will make sure you get the link. You can join us, and we will answer just about anything you want, and there may or may not be drinking associated with that because AMAs and alcohol and the PJ Campbell Network go together like peanut butter and jelly.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
You're very right. I'm ready with my alcoholic eggnog because it is the season. A quick note on the Patreon. PJ Campbell and I will be discussing some changes to the Patreon today that we will reveal during said drunk AMA, and then on whatever the next episode is tomorrow on the Unwind, we'll also discuss it. But stay tuned.
Nothing crazy, Maxwell. You'll be a part of that.
Speaking of the Unwind, we have a really special episode of the Unwind tomorrow because we are joined by two of my favorite gentlemen. I've accidentally called them the movie gods, and I'm sticking with that. It's the movie gods, Paul Preston and Adam Witt. We are going to talk about the Smash-a-thon. We're going to talk about that bootleg match. We're going to talk, I would assume, about movies and kick it and have a good time. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be a good time, man. I like those two quite a bit. Paul and Witt are two of my favorite people. I had such a good time hanging out with them last week for the bootleg match. They came in clutch when they didn't have to, and I'm excited that they're going to be on.
Yeah, I agree. They deserve credit and accolades for being real menches and gentlemen and just for being real funny. Some of the best bits that you and I got credit for were actually their bits that they generously lent to us, and we'll go through all of that on the Unwind tomorrow night. Monday, Merry Movie Squad continues with the watch-along of Elf. This film's by Jon Favreau. It has such a wonderful cast. It's one of my holiday staples. I could watch it over and over again, and I'm excited to watch it with all of you.
I am too, and if you guys missed it last night also, we did Trading Places and Coming to America. Like, we're really just crushing the Merry Movie Squad, if you will. That Elf is going to be our 64th watch-along since COVID started. So just to give you an idea of where we are, like, as a channel and what we've been doing a lot of commentaries and having a good time doing it. So Thank you guys
Yep.
for the support.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're taking some time off. It's Thanksgiving from me and all of us here at the PJCN. We send our warmest regards and hope you have a celebration of thanks with your family while being safe, while wearing masks, while not do anything reckless. Pay attention to those guidelines and regulations because we care about all of you and we want to make sure you're doing okay.
Yeah, please stay safe. Enjoy your holiday, but just be smart about it. That's all we ask.
Yeah. And Friday, after a couple of days off, we're back with Merry Movie Squad watching one of my favorites, and this film was specifically selected by Kristen Smith. It's The Holiday. I love this movie. I think it's so warm and lovely. Nancy Meyers made it, so you know it's got some good kitchens in it. Jack Black, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, Cameron Diaz, and a delightful supporting turn by Eli Kazan. And it's one of the few holiday movies that also passes as a Hanukkah movie because there's a Hanukkah scene, there's a menorah, there's Jews. It's awesome.
Do you have to do the thing when you say Hanukkah?
No, I just felt like going all in.
Okay, all right, just checking.
And speaking of, real quick, something Sean and I did, we did send out a poll to our 5 and up patrons. If you guys vote on it, we will have an extra watch along next month. It is still Christmas based, but you guys, destiny is in your hands. There's 4 movies you can choose from for the Christmas selection. It is Iron Man 3. It is Just Friends. It is a double feature of the Star Wars holiday specials, both Lego and 70s live action, because choices are being made, and a double feature of the Christmas Chronicles. So go vote, and it'll be fun.
Can I vote?
I mean, unless you're a $5 and up patron.
I'm gonna go sign up, give myself $5 and
we
vote.
currently have a tie
because I want to watch. I want to watch Tony Stark.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I mean, I could change my vote.
And speaking of patrons,
I upped my patron just
and I have not. I don't believe this graphic is fully updated. Forgive me. Got to thank our executive producers, Brandy Parker and Ricardo Franco. No relation to Tim or Time Franco. Our Ruby tier producers, Brandon Buckingham, Ferris Muthana, Bedore, Molly Damon, Jake Berlin, Michael K, Stephen White. Missing from this graphic, Kylie Petrano and Kale, the youth critic. Thank you all for your support. We could not do this without you. We appreciate you. We love you. And hopefully keep enjoying our content. But you know what? We got some fun guests. Well, one fun guest and one guest I am reluctant to allow on the network.
I'm already on here, though. I'm not a guest. I'm just here all the time.
I'm not talking about you, my friend. Let's go.
Okay. Let's do it. Who do we got?
All right. First of all, this guy, and I have to give some real accolades to this guy. He took over running quite a few of the shows on the SEN network this week. He did a phenomenal job, and I know he's only going to get better. It's Dwain Burke. What's up, buddy?
What up, Dwain?
How's everybody doing?
Good, man.
And
We're
the backbone for
man.
the Smash-a-thon. We can't leave that out.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I'm sure he would say, I don't want credit, but you're really instrumental in ensuring that all ran smoothly. And I like stealing people's lines.
Dwayne's my hero. That's all there is to it. I'm happy to have you here, man. Thank you for
I believe there's a song, and I won't sing too much of it because I don't want to get struck down, but have I ever told you you're my hero? And,
I thought it went, I just want to fuck you.
What is happening?
I thought it was
Sean, it's the afternoon. Baby. That's late night content.
Yeah, it is the afternoon still, Sean. People are still, trying to be normal human beings. We haven't started
is it really the afternoon if Josh and Ken aren't here?
No, it's not.
That's fair. Okay.
Anyways, while we're waiting, Frank Janish here.
Hi, bud.
Hey, what's going on? And I think the line is, I just want to ferric you. I think that's the line.
Yeah,
that's the line.
Fantastic. Well, how are you, man? It's been a bit since you've been back.
It's been a bit. And I'm glad to be back despite Max's reluctance, apparently. But I'm here nonetheless, so...
Yeah, I'm glad to have you. You guys will notice that Mr. Jake Berlin is not here this week. He needed to take a mental health holiday, so he is going to be back next week talking all things Star Wars with us. But we got a good panel, man.
Jake is so charming and so handsome that we needed 2 different people to fit that quotient so we could fill our quotas for both charm and sex appeal.
We only really needed Dwain then, right?
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
true. Frank is
I
just
guess, yeah.
ancillary in every regard.
I'm just kidding, Frank. I love you.
Max,
You know-
he put you on his draft board.
I know. Well, I'm not getting into that. I appreciate it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and
Let's
let's
just-
jump into this
yeah.
right now.
Frank knows I love him.
I mean,
I'm
it'd be nice if you showed it once in a while, but words are words, I guess.
Hey, Frank, I love you, buddy.
Hey, Max,
he did.
thank you.
Yeah,
I was gonna say he did let you sleep on his couch at least a couple
Whoa.
of times.
God, I feel like the teen girl in the television show that doesn't
Frank.
get told "I love you" back, and then spends the next 3 episodes spiraling into an existential crisis about what that thank you actually means.
Frank, I believe the only acceptable response is "I know."
I mean, that's true. You're right about
Star Wars
that.
show.
Yeah.
So,
But,
chapter
yeah,
12 of The Mandalorian, The Siege. That's what we're here to
That's
talk
what we're
about
here.
tonight, right? I think or this morning, not tonight. What is it? What is time? I am excited. Carl Weathers makes his directorial debut with episode 12, The Siege, and we are off and running in one of the probably most action-packed episodes of the series, I would dare say, at least in just pure action beats. There's a lot to break down here. I'm going to start over with Dwain. What were your overall thoughts on the episode before we jump into spoilers?
Why did you have to start with me?
Because you're the guest and you're in the bottom right corner, and I started with you. Would you like me to go to someone else first?
No.
Frank, what are your thoughts on the episode?
Why did you have to start with me?
This is going real well.
So ill prepared.
No. It's not that
Who
I'm.
gave me
No.
StreamYard's power?
It's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm ill prepared. It's that. Well, I guess actually I am the apt person to start with because you can only go up from here. I came into this episode not wanting to like it.
What is happening?
Who has a child? And not the child. Oh my god.
Oh
my God. There is an actual child.
Max, I've ever told you that I love you.
What a perfect addition to the
That is
show is that
incredible.
we actually have the child guest starring today as well to tell his thoughts
Honestly,
on the episode.
That deserves its own separate little box on the screen.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Holy
So
shit.
I to get back onto the rails.
Yeah.
I did not.
In order
go
to get back on the rails, you have to have been on them in the first place.
I did not go into this episode with the highest hopes for reasons. I don't want to say them because, like Candyman, if you say it 3 times fast, they appear. And I actually did enjoy after the first. I was a little upset with the opening because I didn't want that particular character to be as badass as they were. Because I think that was a badass open, unfortunately. And then I enjoyed the episode up until the last 15 minutes or so.
Okay. That's totally fair. And well, I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about certain character that you're thinking about right now. Frankie Fett, what about you? What were your thoughts?
I love this episode. I had a lot of fun with it. It was just an action-packed ride, basically. It felt like very video game-esque, kind of like last episode. It was much like a roller coaster, just that chase sequence. I mean, it was pretty much like the meat of the episode, right? So all of that, the visuals were amazing. And the fact that this is Carl Weathers we're talking about directing this, I think, great, amazing job with this episode. And unlike Dwain, I liked it from start to finish in terms of what they presented. And then, there's other things, there's other aspects outside of the shows, certainly, that Dwayne's alluding to, and I understand that. But as the episode itself, I thought it was a great episode, and it only piques my interest further into which direction we're going to go in with these characters.
Totally. Sean, your overall thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I liked the episode for, the way they built on the the lore and the mythos of Navarro. You know, what pretty much last season was just a planet. It acted as a backdrop. Now we're starting to get, you know, this town rise up, and we're getting, you know, what the hell the Empire was doing there. I loved it. I think the action was, for me, it felt like there was a lot of action, but not a lot of the action for me was super impactful, which again, I'm sure we'll get to. But yeah, for me, it felt like there was a lot of action, not a lot of great action. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm jaded on this show, but I fucking love this show. But yeah, that's the one thing that came across to me. But it definitely, PJ, I'm going to steal a line. You had me go before you. I knew you were going to say this, but I'll say it because I agree with you. It is very much a original trilogy love letter.
Yeah.
In this episode, and I love that.
Yeah, that was my biggest takeaway too, is that Carl Weathers clearly, like, the way he shot it and everything. I mean, of course he's going to have help from Favreau and everyone involved, but it was very clear he's a big fan of the original trilogy, and he treated it very much as such. And I think that also, again, to Favreau's point, he wrote the script, and it very much feels like that. And I think that's a good thing. It's not all nostalgia pool, but there's definitely that vibe. Like, there was parts where it felt like it could have come directly from it, which I thought was interesting. Over to Maxwell, what were your thoughts overall?
I had a hard time with this episode for a couple of reasons. The first is sort of very much one Dwain was talking about. It was inevitable that this person would reappear this season. And seeing them in a prominent role, in a heroic role, in a role that's very much one in which their character is just getting better as a person and becoming more important to the story, was tough for me to swallow. And I also know in the past I've sung the praises of the fact that I like that the show operates on a sort of classic monster of the week format, as opposed to the more heavily serialized storytelling we're so used to in peak television. But this is the first one where it felt like a real contrivance to me. Like, I know where I gotta go. I'm on my way to meet Ahsoka, but my ship needs repair, so let me stop here. Oh, and they need my help with the mission. So I didn't have an easy time caring about the mission. And I think it was partly because of who the mission was with, and also the fact that the mission, at least on the outset, seemed like a bit of a silly waste. Once we got deeper into the mission, and it became clear that they were using it to deepen the myth of the series and what Moff Gideon is up to and why they wanted to child, then my interest re-peaked. And I'm not trying to take credit away from Carl Weathers. I think he did a really nice job directing it. I think some of the chase scenes were really well done. And some of the stronger action the show has seen. But at least in this season, this was probably my least favorite, and it might just be a me problem. And I will give it another watch now that I sort of know what to expect, and maybe I can adjust a little bit. But it's just tough, I try very hard to separate the art from the artist. And we can have conversations about this time and time again, but the reality is the issues that this particular artist is causing are so fresh and raw. They're happening in real time. It's not like, another situation where it's something that happened a long time ago. And so to finally have this character back in the show in a prominent role as a marshal now, as a hero, and like Dwain said, she is badass. Right. And, they're really giving her an arc where she's going from, anti-hero in last season now to a genuine hero and do-gooder. And it's sort of just like, this is tough for me.
Well, and I can already see that the chat's already kind of talking about it, because Mike was like, I can't be the only one intentionally upset that Cara Dune is a marshal now. And Pardis said, I'm upset she was in the episode at all. And the thing is, and what we have to remember, this season was being shot while season 1 was airing still.
Sure.
Like this episode was done, probably shot close to a year ago. And that is in here kind of, that is the issue with the situation. Now, to Liz's point, it would be nice if Disney could come out and make a statement. This was a thing that I was actually going back and forth for a little bit yesterday on Twitter about. But the point stands is maybe they should come out and say something, because there's nothing you could do on a macro level outside of that right now. You can't get rid of the episode. We can't just not air it.
I can't even begin to understand why big corporations do what they do. I think the fact that there hasn't been some sort of statement is a mistake. The only justification I could see for it is if in a later episode this season the character dies and they didn't want to reveal their cards on that front, which is a possibility.
I mean, but they could make a
There
statement
could also
about
be
saying that.
Yeah, no, I know. I don't understand, why they haven't, said very simply, like, we do not condone or agree with Miss Carano's views. She does not represent the Walt Disney Company. We will be doing an internal review.
I'll say in terms of why I think there hasn't been any kind of statement or acknowledgement of it really from Disney's part is because they don't feel like at the end of the day it's going to affect the bottom dollar for the show. And so why bring more attention to it on their part and further legitimize, the word, everyone's concerns, which is a really kind of crass way to put it. But when Gina Carano appeared on screen, it was a bummer.
Yeah.
It was a bummer for me. I'm not going to lie. Honestly, I was very much surprised in the way that it affected my experience watching that character, that scene, because the character is badass, and I was totally rooting for this character last season, and I should still be rooting for the character, and in a way that I am, but the person who is portraying it makes it difficult, and it was something that I was actively trying to work through as I'm watching the episode, and I still enjoyed the episode immensely, which to me just further reiterates how much I love the episode, despite my own personal feelings towards a particular character. And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we just have to wait and see, I guess.
There's also the thought, and I'm not making excuses for anyone, but we're all very online people, right? We spend a lot of time on Twitter.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah.
The Disney Plus has been a success, I think, far beyond what Disney's wildest projections were, the amount of subscribers they have. And I think The Mandalorian's a big part of that. So you have to imagine there's a ton of casual fans who watch these episodes and have no idea whatsoever what Gina said. They're not on Twitter. They don't go online reading articles. So again, not making excuses, but there is some element of the Streisand effect where Disney might have felt like if we said something now, it would make a bigger deal of it. Whereas if we address it after the season is finished, we can do it more concisely and then either recast or rewrite. See, I just knocked the child over. He's fine. Don't worry. I have child insurance. Recast and address it then. I'm very curious to see how they handled it. And it's a shame because, despite my other issues with it, on the whole, it is a fun episode of television. It's still my least favorite of the season so far, but it just took me out of it in a way that shouldn't happen with a, big, expensive Star Wars TV show.
Yeah. And my big thought is exactly what you said, Max. We are incredibly online. It's funny because yesterday it came up in my Twitch chat, and
to which 99% of people will be like, "What's a Twitch chat?"
Well, right, but it came to my Twitch chat, and a few people that I know, that I know are not part of this community, but I know them from other things. They were like, "What do you mean? What's wrong with Gina?" And I just said, she said some things she shouldn't have on Twitter, some things that were transphobic. And that person was like, "Oh, like that's bad. Like, clearly that's bad." But most people don't know about it. So it's exactly if Disney brings attention to it right at the start of the season or right before the season, which is when that happened, or right now mid-season, it's probably going to cause more of a ruckus. You're probably going to have, the Ethan Van Shrivers of the world go,
Is
But
that
we
that
don't-
idiot who was fighting with me and
Yes.
sending his
Yes.
idiots after
Why
me?
did
over
you?
the
Why did you have to call him out by his name? You say it 2 more times, he's going to appear in our chat and start attacking us.
Let him come.
Let him come. Something he's never heard from a woman is entirely.
Oh.
Oh.
Or if he has, it was out of pity. Oh, just let him come.
Oh,
and then he
God.
can leave. Anyways, it's I think it's 100% that we don't know how it was hit. This isn't the Gucci verse. Fuck. We don't know how it was handled internally. You know, someone could have very well said something to Gina and been like, "Hey, you know, you can't say this." I don't know why. I think the problem is I don't care what Disney does because Disney's a corporation. I care about the fact that Gina hasn't said anything.
She's doubled and tripled down.
I
And
know.
she joined Parlor, so you know.
And, and it's not, and obviously to me on an emotional level, the transphobia is what hurts the most. But she's an anti-masker. She's making fun of liberals by saying they have. It's just a nonstop barrage of hurtful nonsense, and she just needs to shut up. Like,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, maybe I'm misinformed on this, but no one else from the show has voiced their opinions on this, or
I
has
think
Pedro
Pedro
has.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he,
Pedro
hasn't,
Okay.
he hasn't.
I understand
addressed-
he has.
um,
yeah,
he,
someone in his
he hasn't
family.
addressed it like directly, but he
Mhm.
made very clear statements
Okay.
after. He was like, "I support."
He's basically subtweeting.
He basically just subtweeted. He's like,
Interesting,
"I
okay.
support trans people and trans rights."
Yeah.
He put his he made it very apparent when he put
Put
his
his pronouns in his bio.
in his bio and in his name. Like he was very very emphatic of
Yeah.
he.
Yeah, again, it
did
just
not
goes to show you
support what she
that
said.
even as much as I am on Twitter and all that, there's stuff that I miss, so, yeah.
And I think that pretty much is the conversation we can have about this. Like, there's not a lot. Like, I think we've kind of covered the bases of it's problematic no matter what, and they need to deal with it. And my hope is that Disney actually deals with it by the time season 2 ends, and we kind of have
And
an idea
it's
of where it's
entirely
going.
possible that Cara Dune's not in the season again, or maybe one more episode towards the end. I don't know.
I think she's gonna be. We can be pretty confident she's gonna be in episode 12.
Yeah.
Because I believe Carl Weathers said he directed that episode as well.
Okay.
Or sorry, yeah.
I think there's
later. I think there's another episode he directed in this season.
yeah.
No,
I think
this was chapter 12.
Yeah, this was 12. So I think there might be
So-
one more.
so. What I think,
we're at the halfway point now, so there's 4 left.
I'll say this: I guarantee she shows up at least one more time, only because and I don't want to jump too far ahead, but it's very clear they were also setting something up with her character and where she stands with the New Republic and what the New Republic stands for in this certain time period.
Yeah.
So they were clearly, no matter what, wanting to do more with this character.
Mhm.
So from here on, I think that there's a chance we see her at least one more time. It'll probably be towards the finale. If not, it is the finale that we see the Cara Dune character again. From there, we can have the conversation. If we don't have anything at that point from Disney on what the situation is, then we go from there. Because Hi, Bador. As we know, we kind of talked about it last week, but there is a secret show that's taping right now that's not Mandalorian, and I don't know if Mandalorian Season 3 has even gone into production just yet. So if they haven't gone into production yet, that means that they're probably figuring out what they need to do next. There are going to have to be moves that are made no matter what.
I'm hoping they go into production quickly because I don't want to wait more than a year for another season.
I don't want to. I hate.
Sean's got a timetable, damn it.
I hate wanting to talk about this character, but have we had any confirmation of another citizen of Alderaan?
No, and that's what I was gonna kind of talk about that. when we got to it.
That was another thing that kind of bummed me out. That I was
So,
like,
yes,
we
we
finally
have.
get someone that when was this?
We have in the comics,
Okay.
but this is the first live action or even cartoon, like, because generally when they need someone from Alderaan, they've got Leia.
Yeah.
You know,
Or
like-
Vale or
And to Mike's point, are you guys okay with the recasting the character? Yes, I am. And actually,
Yes.
we were talking about it privately in our channel chat yesterday. Jamie Alexander, who played Lady Sif in the Thor movies, would be like a really ideal choice. She's already got a relationship, obviously, with Disney. It looks like she's come back to play Lady Sif again from something she posted on Instagram in Loki, because she was going to Atlanta where they were filming the show. She's got the relationship, and at one point Lady Sif was potentially going to have her own Disney Plus series. So if Disney's in looking for someone, she's a more than suitable replacement. She can do a lot of the same stuff that Gina Carano does physically.
She even kind of looks similar to a certain point.
I mean, the frame is very different.
I think my the person who popped into my head was, I think her name is Alice Braga.
Oh yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think that's her name.
Mutants, yeah.
Yeah.
Look, because the thing is, and I think PJ and I were talking about this a little bit offline. Putting Gina Carano aside, I really like the character of Kara. I like the writing they're doing for her. That scene where we found out she's from Alderaan and she was talking with the pilot, who's basically a space cop, was a very touching, emotional scene. It brought a lot of depth to her character. It helped, understand more where she's coming from. Yeah. So here I am struggling, like, wow, this is a fascinating development. I really like where they're going with this character. I just wish it was any other actress.
Yeah.
So,
I'm all for a recast if they intend to continue to develop and enrich in Cara Dune. And I don't care if the frame, I'm not one of those people where I need the person to look identical or, it's just, it's a new actor playing the same character. Fine. Suspension of disbelief. I mean, we have a blue guy played by Horatio Sands cracking jokes in this show. It's not exactly Mad Men, right?
Right.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind if they did recast.
And even Mad Men had recast all the time with the kids and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind if they did recast that character, but I also think there could be a way where you can kind of fill that character role by introducing a new character from Alderaan, because it's not like only 3 people, were off of Alderaan. Right. So I still think you possibly could do it that way, because if there was a split with Gina Carano, I don't think it's going to be an easy send-off type of episode for her at Disney, right? It's like everyone would know what's going on here, right? So
unless again, it had already been written that the character died at the end of season 2 as like a heroic sacrifice or some shit.
Right.
And then it's it's easy, And with Bo-Katan now around, and Katie Sackhoff has a very similar presence to me as Gina Carano. Mm-hmm. You could potentially fold that character in more.
Yeah, or at least
season 3.
Or at least the other Mandalorian does as well. I don't remember her name or the actress. Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks from WWE.
Yeah,
she didn't say much, but she had a very imposing presence that I liked.
I've got a kind of weird recast idea. Brianna Hildebrand, Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's not bad actually.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
She's a little young, but I mean, you can age her up a little bit.
I love that character.
Yeah. So I think we can all agree, like, if they decide they want to keep the character, great. We're all about the recasting. Otherwise, as Frank said, I'd be totally fine too if they brought in a new character altogether that kind of replaces her. But at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is we have to get through the rest of the season to see what happens from there.
I will say this, and I'll say this on air, and it's out there. If they don't address it in the off season in a way that feels significant, I'm probably going to be done with the show. And I love it, and that's a shame. But for me, it would be a huge mistake not to, after season 2 is done, address it head on, whether via firing or, the character had already been slated to die and they make an announcement, a press release saying we're severing ties, something. I understand to a point why they haven't done it now. I think it's a mistake. But if it's not addressed in the off season, that is very telling.
Yeah.
To me.
And I think that I agree, at least that they have to, and if they don't, then it sends a lot of really bad messages, and I have a hard time wanting to be involved with something like that. And no matter how much I love this world. And it's
and I think all of us, and that's one of the things the Pajukin prides itself on is tolerance and acceptance and empathy of all people. And so we can't sit here and condone
except Frank.
It's fair. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it really is becoming the J.K. Rowling thing, where like WB is stuck in the same position of Disney can handle this much better than WB is currently in the position of having with Fantastic Beasts.
Well, I just love though with that big like open world Hogwarts game coming out next year that the publisher was like, JK has no involvement in this.
Good.
Yeah.
Good, because I mean, I know this is off topic. I know like there's someone in this household that really wants to buy that game. And there's that whole moral conundrum of like, well, do you support it or not? But yeah, I look, let's get into the meat of the episode.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
First and
Sorry
foremost,
if we derailed that, but I think it's a conversation that we have to have.
It was going to have to happen.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I was like, make sure Max and Dwain are on this episode because they know about this stuff, and I'm a blubbering idiot. So
I have to say, in the past 6 months I've gotten to know you, you have become significantly less of a blubbering idiot on these matters. I've watched the man grow in front of my eyes, and I'm not talking about your waistline. I'm talking about your empathy.
Although the waistline has grown, I will say that.
It's COVID. We've all done what we've done.
Yeah, I've gained my COVID-19. So we open up with that cool little fight scene. It's kind of inconsequential. It's just a nice little, action bop. But we get the Mandalorian coming into Navarro. And does the town on Navarro have a name?
I don't think they ever said it had a name. Yeah, at least that they've said out loud.
Okay, so the town on Navarro, it's vibrant, it's living. We've got a school.
Way different than the last time we saw it.
Right. So there's two notes that I want to make. Carl Weathers, I don't think, had a full gray beard last season.
No, I don't think so.
And the town has seen significant growth. How much time has passed since season 1?
That's a good question.
That I was wondering that too, because
this
like
is why I'm here, boys.
Because Navarro has changed a lot, and I was having the same thought process. I was like, they've done a ton to make it like a bustling community. However, one thing we don't know is that there could have already been people living on Navarro who were kind of in hiding. Obviously, we know the Imperials were overrunning it. So if they were living outside of this town, and now they've all come into the town now that the Imperials have been cleared out, it's not as much of a stretch for me to believe that the town could be as bustling as it's become.
Yeah.
But they did also say that basically the entire planet had been
liberated,
made safe,
yeah,
except for that one
it's
pocket,
possible that there was months or more in between the two seasons. They haven't been
like
clear
at least
with
a
the
month,
timeline.
Yeah. So Bedore says she looked
and,
it up. Not a lot of time passed. No specific time was mentioned, but it was not a lot of time.
Right, and she also said, which I noticed, that there's an IG-11 statue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I noticed that
in Navarro, which was cool because he really did become a hero.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
IG-11.
I would say
that we can assume if it wasn't a lot of time that it was just another way of showing the impact that Cara Dune and Grief.
I think that's like the main point. Yeah.
Yeah,
I loved the school. I thought that was such a lovely touch.
Yeah,
and then the bar, no less. That's pretty funny.
Yeah,
the fact that he was like, this place is still standing, and they're like, oh, but it's very different, and it's basically a protocol droid in there teaching these kids. I thought that was really charming.
I like how everyone has a Star Wars themed name, and Maxwell is just Maxwell.
I thought that is Star Wars theme. Usually just call him Max.
Yeah, well, you're not
but
wrong.
I have
child.
I do, to Frank's point, though, I think he's right.
This thing, goddamn, I want one.
I do think that a lot of what the episode was also indicating is just look how much Cara have done for them. Because, like, very much, obviously, to Dwayne's point, right out the gate, we see Cara going into what's kind of looked like a hideout for one of the gangs on the planet of what was left, and she just absolutely kicks the shit out of them and runs them out, and so
the child also has an accessory. Look.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Just like
Jill,
behind you, Chuck.
Jill, I think I know what I'm getting you for your birthday. Like getting you for your birthday. I mean getting me for your birthday.
I love that when you buy your significant other a gift for their birthday, but you really just know they'll play with it for a day and then it becomes yours.
Yeah.
Selfish gift giving.
I love it.
I don't think we do. Do we know the specific name of the protocol droid who was teaching the kids?
No.
No.
Yeah, I
don't.
don't think they gave a name.
Yeah, it's something we could probably look up somewhere.
Or
I'm
make
sure
up.
Wikipedia, or I'm sure Alex Damon figured it out.
We can make one up. How about Maxwell?
Works. Yeah, good for me.
Yeah.
Sounds
Okay.
about right.
Good. Done. Okay, so yeah, I mean, I love that. I like the school. I've got some complaints about the IKEA shelving and the fact that the snack is just a macaroon.
Hey man, macaroons are a fucking delicacy.
Macaroons are
what
timeless.
galaxy you're in.
Yeah, what do you got against macaroons?
Look,
That was
all I'm saying
basically
is
basically
Star
my
Wars by
favorite scene in the
IKEA.
episode where he stole the macaroons. I was like, this is what I'm here for.
Yeah, I mean, I think that scene went a little long. I've seen a couple people mention. I think Liz maybe mentioned in the chat. This episode felt like it could have been way shorter. And I agree. I think this episode there were a few parts where it kind of.
I just can't with people who are like, I wish these episodes were longer. I wish these were shorter. I wish it was longer.
But
No
look,
one like.
I'm 100%. I'm the guy that is 100%. These episodes should be longer. I wanted more in the town, but I wanted more scenes in the town. I didn't want scenes in the town to take longer.
I just think it's funny. No one's happy either way, and no one ever will be.
I'm happy with it as it is.
Yeah. It's just very funny to me. That's all.
Yeah,
I don't
no, I
really
agree.
care, but yeah, it's funny.
I didn't mind if they were macrons because they're a delightful, hard to make pastry, and they endure in all galaxies, far away, long time ago, or close by and today.
And look, Baby Yoda eating them was adorable. Let's not have
Adorable.
a conversation that somehow
Horrible.
macaroons are bad.
Look,
You're gonna deny
I
him his
just-
snackums?
Look, as cute as the child is, we once again got a fantastic example of the child is an asshole.
Can we
Okay,
put that on a
well,
shirt, please? Can we please put that on a shirt?
There's no way
yes.
to say this without
child is
upsetting
an
a lot
asshole.
of people, but children of a certain age are all assholes.
That is true.
They don't know social mores yet. They just want what they want. They're still learning. And yeah, he's 50 some odd years old, but in the light, the way that his race ages, that probably means he's like 2 or 3.
I mean,
Ryan
I would
Ward, get on that. We need that shirt.
I would say though, in a situation from a previous episode, the child has shown an understanding of the common language,
Mhm.
and was told not to do something and continued to try to do it.
Oh,
I,
can we talk for a second? I think we skipped past it earlier on where Mando is trying to tell the child what to do with the cables.
Yes.
yeah.
the opening
Oh,
sequence,
yes.
opening scene.
It reminded me so much of sort of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Bless you.
Yeah.
that sequence was brilliant.
I thought it was hilarious, and it felt so much like a father trying to walk their kid through,
Anything.
any sort of technical thing. And then when he put the 2 wires he looked and put them together and shocked. I was cackling.
The way that the smoke comes out of that vent is as like the comedic
Yep.
timing, and he just goes, "Are you all right?" Well, I guess it was worth a try. Like it's so on point and on par, and the child knew what it was doing. To Dwayne's point, he's clearly understood like basic language at times, so he kind of did it on purpose. When Mando's like, "Don't do that," and he's like, "He zap," and he zaps himself. And again, the child's kind of an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to your point earlier about how it was like, well, they had to make a pit stop in a place they knew. It was kind of a good thing that in that last episode, when they got off the planet, the ship was still beyond fucked up. Like, we knew it was still a problem and that they were going to have to get it fixed because, as we knew, it was already showing that it wasn't running at its full capacity.
Oh, the ship was. It looked like one dogfighter mistake away from blowing up into smithereens, covered with spider webs and slime and gook and who knows what else. The Razor Crest was in bad shape.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, as a very experienced Squadrons player, Pilot Error is undefeated, and it looked like Pilot Error was about to take out the Razor's Crest.
Yes.
So what I do like too is we pick up here, and the next thing we know is that they're happy to see the Mando because they may have their own issue with what's left of, as Dwayne said, the last part of Imperial presence on the planet, and they need help trying to clear it out. They think it's just a base. That's just, the lone remnants of the Empire, and they're not aware that there might be more to this situation and what's happening there, but they need his help. And I kind of understand you're like, it feels contrived, but also I think it works for me because it makes sense that of all the people that they need in a situation dealing with the Imperials, wanting him to come back, especially after the last time they were all together on Navarro and, just totally cleared out the Imperials, you'd want him back at least once. Maybe a phone call would have sufficed instead of him having to stop because he needed repairs. But all the same, I would have been shocked if they wanted to face what was left of the Imperial presence on their own.
Yeah, I like the fact that Din sees Navarro as kind of like a home base of sorts, still,
Right.
And that he has friends there. He even says, let's go see some friends, right? I believe he says.
Yeah.
So, that's something that he didn't have to start off the show with. So I think that's also kind of keying us in on like what his mentality is, and that he's not just this lone ranger, if you will, all by himself out there with the child. He knows he has friends out there that he can go back to for support and lean on. And so I like that aspect of it. The whole we need him because we have this whole Empire thing. Like, I get it, the contrive aspect of it, but it still works for me because it ended up being fun as hell. So I can give it a pass for that. Yeah.
Sean, any thoughts?
About what?
Anything.
Anything.
Whatever
at
you
all.
think.
Yeah. So I'm prepared. I've come prepared, right?
Right.
And
Clearly.
I'm ready. I'm totally ready for us to discuss this. And now's when you want to discuss this, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Let's get right into it. So, Dark Forces, Star Wars Dark Forces, right?
There it is. We hadn't even gotten.
I was
that far,
I was actually waiting for this
Yeah.
conversation.
I love a Sean Sullivan show and tell.
We're not on this part of the show yet, right?
No,
No,
we
we're
are
not.
well
Okay.
before that. They haven't even gotten to the base yet. We were talking about the needing to get to the base and having him be here.
I do think the infiltrate the base and overload the reactor trope was a little much. I think we got to come up with something new for Star Wars. Because
Yeah.
that's
Not wrong.
literally every single mission is infiltrate the base and overload the reactor.
That
I mean-
may not be wrong.
I mean, what else are you gonna do? They don't have like air power, so
Yeah, they don't have
And
starfighters.
hey,
They don't have.
this had a lava element. That's new.
That is new.
Actually,
Geothermal reactors.
inside the base though, when they're at the reactor thing, and it's very reminiscent of Death Star scene, and the whole line, this doesn't have a rail. Honestly, that might be my favorite line of the entire
That was
series.
it was,
was
so
hilarious.
delightfully self-aware to
Yeah.
40 years of Star Wars history, 40 plus years of Star Wars history. And I think Mithril, am I saying that right?
I think so.
I think so.
Is a really charming character.
Yeah.
He's sort of like the audience surrogate, where you have all these badasses and these fighters, and then he's just like this schlub who's like,
I don't even want to leave my speeder.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's played by Horatio Sands of
Yeah.
all people is just extra delightful.
I'll
And
say
we did get some development from him too, because when he first sees the Mando, he's like, "Well, I don't know whose ship that is. There's no identification. Ah, you're here."
Yeah.
And then at the end of the episode, he's just clapping and cheering, and I think that next time we see him, and I do hope we see him again, I think he will be the new Marshal of Navarro, and be
Oh.
not
Interesting.
not really.
I was going to say, are you
Okay.
trying to pretend to be Frank right now?
Oh, well,
Is that the bad
Repent.
theory of the day?
Look,
Frank, do you
I'm
have your bad
100%
theory later?
correct. I'm
He-
100% correct on that.
he
And I
wants
cannot
to do-
wait to throw it in all your faces. I just can't wait.
I will say that the Mithril character grew on me a lot this episode. I was really glad he came back, because the one thing that I think Mandalorian's done great, and I brought it up even in the very first episode of the season, is taking stuff that didn't necessarily work the first time and kind of reworking it and making characters who were a little grating and finding a way to make them likable. And it really worked in this situation to me. And Mithril is a character that I look forward to seeing it again now because of that exact reasoning.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, even like aside from Kara and Din, having Mithril and Amy Sedaris and Frog Lady and Grief Karga, like those are all characters. They're just living their life in the Star Wars universe. Grief is a little bit more on the hero spectrum, but he's like a low level Lando Calrissian. He's just a guy trying to run his facility. Lando was just trying to run Bespin.
Right.
I get Grief Karga. I get big Lando vibes. A little more, a little nicer, I think.
Yeah.
And I think to your point, one of the things that I still really like about Mandalorian, just as a whole as a show, is that we are seeing this level of the Star Wars universe that we'd never seen on screen. You'd read about it in a lot of the books and see it in the comics, but this
it's seen in live action. I mean, we saw a good portion of this sort of stuff in Rebels
and Resistance.
But in a live action setting,
I always forget about that one because I was not a huge fan.
Because we only saw a little bit of what Coruscant's nightlife looked like in Attack of the Clones. So
I think my favorite through line that they're slowly building, and I talked about this, I don't know if last week or the week before, is what really is happening with the remaining Imperials who are still trying to make a stand after the second Death Star fell, and the New Republic, and how it's all shaking out. We've never explored that before. We really went from the second Death Star falls, the Empire's over, to, now there's the First Order in Force Awakens.
Yeah.
And there's all this period in between where the socio and political dynamics of the galaxy are unexplored. And to me, that's been one of the most intellectually stimulating things. And I like how they're doing it. It hasn't been exposition dumps or overtness. It's just been in the way characters are engaging with each other, like that conversation between Cara Dune and, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was the same pilot that Carson ran into on the ice planet. That stuff is fun to see for me, and how they're just weaving those little things in a way that feels more organic, that a worsely written show would just be and now we're going to talk about the New Republic, that sort of thing. So
I find maybe.
Well, I liked it. It was almost a throwaway line when Grief was like, "Why is the New Republic out here? The Empire can control us. Why are they trying to do it?"
Yeah.
I thought that was a brilliant, again, world building line where it was the Imperials tried to make this entire area theirs. They couldn't tame it. Why does the New Republic think they can? Mm-hmm. And it worked.
Yeah, I don't. God, how does the Battle of Jakku fit into this timeline?
It's assuming it's a year after the Battle of Endor.
Yeah, so
this probably happened already.
No, it's definitely already happened.
Okay. Yeah, so and that was another thing when you were talking about the Imperial holdouts. I guess spoilers if anyone hasn't read Aftermath
or played Battlefront.
Or played Battlefront, but I'm mainly because of if you read Aftermath, you actually know what the Battle of Jakku was.
Yeah.
And it was the exodus of the Empire from known space, basically.
Yeah.
So anyone who's still left at this point doesn't really know what the overall plan is and doesn't know that the true leadership of the Empire is gone.
I've got
really
a little
doesn't
theory
care
about
that.
Them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what plays into, some stuff that happens later in this episode.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, if you want to read even more about the Battle of Jakku, my favorite Disney-era Star Wars novel is Lost Stars.
Yes.
I
which
mean,
is a fantastic book. I mean, it's still it's not as explicit, but it still deals with it in a very interesting way.
Yes.
Well, so go ahead, Sean.
So I have, just because we're on the topic of the Empire post, this is supposedly 6 years after the Battle of Endor.
Okay.
Okay.
We know that at the time of, so this is 6 years after the Battle of Endor, so that makes it 24 years before
Episode 7.
Force Awakens.
Episode 7, Force Awakens.
And you're supposed to do Star Wars trivia.
What was that? I dropped my headset.
Because any of the
Better
rest
that
of
way.
us knew that, PJ.
Keep going, Sean.
So, anyways, this is 6 years after the Battle of Endor, 24 years before the Battle of Circular Base. So that means we're doing math here. I was told there would be no math, but I'm doing it. 7 years before The Force Awakens is about when the Resistance is formed and about when the First Order starts to become a presence in the galaxy. It is possible. What we do also know is that during that time, the First Order was still getting ships built and still getting weapons manufactured, all by former Imperial contracting, companies. It's possible that Moff Gideon is a sort of advanced fleet that is setting that stuff up and getting it prepped. But
Right.
Dwain, I think you're 100% on point. I don't think that they have anything to do with the First Order. And let's talk about this. We've got the cloning vats. I know we're kind of jumping ahead a little bit, but
that was where this episode kind of lost me.
Oh.
I was so into I don't know if you guys have heard any of the stories about Japanese pilots that were found on islands years after
Right.
World War II ended. They had no idea that the war had ended,
Yeah.
and were
Right.
still and I kind of was hoping that when we experience the Empire now, that's what we would be getting, is people who are so diehard supporters of the Empire that they in their mind the war isn't over. But they had I was a little let down that they just felt the need to tie what's going on into the overall larger story.
I don't think it is. I don't think that's what that is. Because from what we know from the visual dictionary and stuff, we know that, and from the novelization, we know that Palpatine had been working with his cloning technology on Exegol for some time. I think this is entirely Moff Gideon's handiwork.
Well,
I don't think it ties into
the reason I think it ties in is because of some of the things that were said in the message, and the thing that we do know is that Palpatine was never able to get a stable body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I think that's why they were focusing on the blood, is because they were trying to create a stable body for him. And I think that also kind of tells us that he never gets the child back.
Yeah, well, but it's also possible that this is just set up to help explain, and it's not necessarily tied into. Gideon might not be working with Palpatine, the First Order, or the Sith Eternal.
I sort of agree with you, Sean. I think no, I didn't ask.
I
Serious
hope
now
so.
typing. I sort of agree with you, Sean. I don't know why. In that, I think hypothetically, it can be used as a way to sort of explain the science behind what Palpatine did, but I don't think it's going to be directly and actively connected. In that, Gideon's plan is to bring Palpatine back. I think it's the evolution of the tech, but not actually what happens. I could be wrong.
And I mean, maybe it's kind of a combination of both, and maybe Gideon is just still on the mission that he had,
Right.
prior to, and that mission was creating a stable body for.
Because I kind of
Now-
thought to Dwayne's point, I actually kind of think that's what Gideon is exactly doing. Like, to Dwayne saying, I want to see Imperials who think the war is still happening. Gideon feels like that to me. Gideon feels like the dude who's like, I am still fighting the war that we started. Like, just because we're down doesn't mean we're out. That's the feeling I've always gotten from him. And I, like, of all things, Kong Skull Island kind of did what you're talking about, because when they finally find John C. Reilly's character on Skull Island, he has no idea the war has ended or anything like that. So I would love to see more of that type of thing in Star Wars, and I'm sure we will as we go farther along.
Okay, so they watched this messing from Dr. Pershing,
right?
Who I was glad to see back. I love that actor. I think he's a cool character.
Yeah.
And he mentions M count.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Which is midichlorians.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Which is something we haven't really heard that much in Star Wars since the prequels.
Mm-hmm.
So
And it's something,
that not necessarily the worst thing to not hear about it.
Well, so I mean, a quick little, side note. In canon,
I had a laser pointer with which to give these speeches.
Yeah, I know. In canon, midichlorians are something that the Jedi are aware of, but it was explicitly Qui-Gon who was a little more obsessed with them.
Yes.
Because Qui-Gon was this adherent to something called the Living Force, which is a slightly different view of the Force than most of the Jedi Order had. So it's interesting to me that the Empire would care more about the Living Force, which I guess works because Palpatine goes on this whole... Okay, so...
It still worked. Still works.
At the Crystal Lake Opera scene.
Yes.
Palpatine says he's able to influence the midichlorians to create life. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, I think here, if
jump off that.
So, I don't think this is connected to Palpatine stuff. I think that Moff Gideon is a fanboy of Mandalorians and Jedi, and he wants to be them, and therefore he's trying to somehow up his own midichlorian count. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, but like people, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Fedor.
To varying degrees, a regular, like, let's say, like, Mando, like, you can train yourself to tap into the Force. It's a lot harder for that person if they don't have a high midichlorian count, right? So Gideon's trying to figure out how to up his own midichlorian account to become more Force sensitive, but knows that there's a danger in doing it. That's why he's doing all these experiments to try and figure out how to do it so it doesn't kill him. In the same way that he's a fanboy of Mandalorians, he wants the Darksaber and all that stuff. So I think there could be... What's that?
Go ahead, finish what you're saying.
No, yeah, so I think that's kind of where this whole sequence is going, in him wanting the child, because he's knowledgeable of Jedi and what they can do, and that's what he aspires to do, but use it for the Empire. And because now that the Empire has fallen, he's the one that wants to bring it back, and he feels like if he can have this type of power and be the Palpatine of like the remnants of what's left, then he could potentially, in his view, amass forces and then, long live the Empire and all that.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Sean, as a Schmodown Star Wars competitor,
is that what he is?
Do you know? Have we gotten any like real backstory on Moff Gideon?
No.
Okay.
Nothing beyond that.
What if he is Mandalorian?
So,
great.
I thought about that
because that would give a lot more. But that would give more significance to him having the Darksaber if he is Mandalorian.
So I think it's significant either way, because it's either he is holding this basically holy relic and has no reverence for it and has it just because it's a fucking trophy. I have two notes, one of which jumps off what you're saying. And one goes back to the M count thing. So I'm going to finish my thought on the M count thing before I lose it. We don't know if an M count equals, and by the way, I love the term M count much better than midichlorians.
Me too.
We don't know if a high M count means the person is force sensitive, or if someone being force sensitive means they have a high M count. We don't know if midichlorians are attracted to force sensitive people, or if people are force sensitive because they have more midichlorians. We don't know that.
No, we don't.
And that's one of those things where maybe the reason it's not working is because that's not how it works. That's not how the force works. Now that I'm go ahead.
Said Han Solo.
Yes. Moff
Actually,
Gideon,
Sean Solo.
Moff Gideon is the guy that you went to high school with that wore the trench coat and slicked back hair. PJ, this is not a shot at you. He wore the trench coat and he studied the art of the blade. That's Moff Gideon. Moff Gideon is this fucking neckbeardy, and I'm sorry if some of our fans out there are neckbeardy. I look at my background. I got fucking Dungeons and Dragons minis behind me. I'm okay. So we don't.
I'm
concerned
concerned that you need to tell yourself that you're okay to be okay.
I'm not okay. Moff Gideon is the dude that studied Sun Tzu's Art of War and was a second-rate fucking Imperial officer. And as soon as the Empire disappeared, he called himself Moff. That's my prediction. I don't think Gideon was of any significance prior to the fall of the Empire. I think because here's the other thing. He's not in a Star Destroyer. He's in an Arquitens.
Yeah.
He's in a frigate. He's in a small fucking ship that is not much bigger than a CR-90. He's not in a full Star Destroyer. He's not a warlord. Well, he's a warlord. He's not a naval officer.
Right.
And if he was a low naval officer. So that's my thought. I think that Moff Gideon he's the guy that had all these ideas but never amounted to anything. And now in a power vacuum, he's going, well, let's create clones that are force sensitive. Let's create an army of superpower battle droids. Let's modify these TIE fighters to be better. He's an ideas guy that was never able to rise to the top. And now in a power vacuum, he's able to rise to the top. Because we see three things in this episode. That facility was doing something else too that we didn't talk about. In the hangar, you can see TIE fighters being disassembled. And outside, we see the TIE fighters that are landed with the folding wings.
Yeah. I was actually going to bring that up too. Have we seen that before? I was
no.
like, because when I saw that, I was like,
it was a prototype. So we see it. His TIE fighter in season 1 is like that. But outside of the Mandalorian, we don't see it.
Yeah.
It was a concept for The Force Awakens that was unused.
I think what I mean, I'm just going off my own military experience in mind. It's a way to fit more TIE fighters on a ship.
Well, and it's a way to land, because if you land a TIE fighter on planet, the only way to get out is with a rope ladder or jumping out. With the folding wings,
that's kind of
with the folding, because we see them in this episode. We see them landed on flat ground.
Yeah,
flat ground with no ladders or no scaffolding. You have to use scaffolding to get into a TIE fighter. So we see that in this. We see the TIE fighter without scaffolding. So.
And see, the more and more we talk about this aspect of what he's trying to do, leads me to believe that he has no affiliation towards what Palpatine is doing or any of that stuff. Because why would he? He should somehow be still connected to whatever is going on in Exegol and all of that stuff. You would think, and he's not.
And if he was tied to the First Order, they would be providing him with ships and tech, and he wouldn't be providing it himself. Yeah. The other thing is, we're jumping ahead a little bit, but the technicians at the end were wearing, Imperial Science Division uniforms with the same uniforms that Galen's team wears in Rogue One.
Right.
They're probably just holdouts that he had access to that he recruited. They're probably not, I don't know. It just doesn't.
I mean, I don't know if the end state is that Gideon is responsible for, and this project was responsible for, but I do think that the project started prior to the fall of the Empire.
Yes, I do too. I do too, and I think that it. So back to the whole thing of it tying into the Sith Eternal, the Final Order, whatever you want to fucking call it. I think that it's a thematic tie-in, not necessarily a lore.
Literal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And because of that, it doesn't bother.
Yeah.
Respect your opinion, Dwayne. This particular point doesn't bother me so much. I thought it was interesting. I like having more clear idea of what Gideon is up to, and I'm really curious. The idea that he may have been Mandalorian is fascinating because obviously with the Darksaber, that would give him claim to the throne of Mandalore.
I think that Bo-Katan would have brought it up if he was though.
I don't.
Well, that's why. Well, that's why I was.
Unless she's playing it close to the, or maybe she doesn't know. We don't know.
I think that's why she was so concerned about if he had the Darksaber, because then he can make the claim if he wants to.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw that with Darth Maul, and so you would anyone who had it who wasn't a true Mandalorian. Or brought up in those ways and has a Darksaber, I would be pissed, So and concerned. So I understand like her point of view in that aspect.
Yeah, but I think that's why I think she's so worried about it is because if he is Mandalorian, because we do know that there are Mandalorians that forsook Mandalore and sided with the Empire,
right?
And
Gar Saxon.
And if he is Mandalorian and now has the Darksaber, the Mandalorians will follow him, whether they like it or not.
But we also don't know what exactly is going on in Mandalore, whether or not there are still Mandalorians there. It's been made to seem, at least from Din's point of view, that nothing's really going on there. But Bo-Katan says, well, maybe there, you can't believe everything you've heard. So it's an interesting aspect.
I would expect that we end up on Mandalore in this show, but not this season.
I think
I would like
season.
to think so. Yeah.
I have a quick question, backtracking a little bit to Qui-Gon Jinn and the M count.
Yeah.
Did his interest in that relate to his fascination with the Order of the Wills and the Journal of the Wills?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I haven't read Master and Apprentice or... I tried to read Master and Apprentice and I really wasn't impressed. So, I haven't dove deep into that era of the new canon. Most of what I know is just, me Googling shit and listening to Alex Damon.
The other thing is just the chase where they steal the transport ship and then they're being chased by the speeder bikes and then you think it's done and then the TIE fighters come out. That was just pure visceral fun. I mean, talk about the myth and the lore and what's happening, but I was super impressed with what Carl Weathers accomplished. And obviously, any director will have their second unit and there's what's up, Brienne?
I'm glad someone's glad to see him.
And I'll say this to your point on this. This is the second episode now this season that has also felt like it was nodding to Star Tours, which I kind of love because this whole sequence felt like something straight out of either version of Star Tours.
Someone in the chat said that earlier. Let me see if I can find who it was.
Yeah, I mean, Alex said that in his review of the episode.
I think it might have been
Jill.
It was
Jill.
Devlin. Devlin also. Davlin Mistrunner also pointed it out.
I love that. And the reason I love that is because the one thing that Mandalorian can do is that it does little ties to the bigger universe, as we've all clearly talked about today. But Star Tours is kind of like a canon adjacent, if you will. So doing these little nods to it always just makes me laugh, where it's like, now we're trying to be like, we know that you guys like these things, so here's the nod to these things that are not necessarily really canon. So have fun with it, where they would have had these situations happen. And I would
just say of this sequence, my favorite visuals of that whole sequence, which was awesome, was the troopers on the speeder bikes just going down the mountain.
Did Frankie freeze on us?
Did we lose Frank?
Was just awesome. And I was like, I can't believe this is like Star Wars. But that was probably like my favorite little isolated part of the sequence. It was just really, really well shot. I thought.
On this behalf, to thank the Disney company for giving the show the money to pull off these action sequences, because these are not cheap sequences.
This is also, there was definitely, at least in my opinion, a little bit of a nod to Last Crusade as well. With the speeder bike that came up on the right, and she like edges it into the wall. It felt like the tank sequence from Last Crusade.
This is
which I liked a lot.
Similar sequence in Rebels had this when they were on Mandalorian, I think, right? With the same sort of type of vehicle, I think. Well, not necessarily.
Well, and that's
They use those on the Siege of Mandalore. They use those, or not Siege of Mandalore. But
that Rebels is some of my personal all-time favorite Star Wars content.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, it was. Partly because of what's up, guys? Partly because what they're able to, in animation, you can do things that would require such an exorbitant budget in live action. But with Mando, we're seeing some of those things in these episodes that is super fun and cool to see. And Siri is acting up again. I don't know what's happening.
I'm not gonna lie. I was thoroughly tickled with the stormtrooper that got on top of the transport. And Carl Weathers was like, gotcha.
Carl Weathers is so awesome in this show. I think it was such a casting coup, and he's just gotten better and more fun. Especially, he started out as an antagonist, and then throughout season 1, he became an ally of Mando, and now to see them back together fighting on the same side, it's been really fun.
Can I ask why did we have to? Bye, Brienne. Why did we have to have those two speeders crash into each other when they're coming down the mountain? Like, I want to know.
Idiots.
But
it doesn't bother me because we've seen stormtroopers be morons in the past. I mean, that stuff's bound to happen, especially in flight or fight mode like that. These dudes are just like, we're gonna go out, we're gonna do it, and they don't get the best people for the Empire. We know that. Like, come on.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Sean. I thought about I can't believe they actually had that happen, but I was like, damn, stormtroopers.
But I mean,
exactly.
Sean,
because troopers just do and are reckless.
Yeah. Look, dude, we saw one of them bang their head on the Death Star in A New Hope. Are you really thinking?
I know.
Come on. Like, stormtroopers are not really. You just got to accept
at the very least, the inefficiencies of stormtroopers has been canon since day one.
Yeah. I just wish that would have happened during the chase and not before the chase. Like, I wish it would have been a reaction to being threatened that they, didn't have the discipline and not just like, we're going down the mountain and two of us are dead. Clearly that is how they
is Jason Sudeikis' character, and that's what he gets for hitting the baby.
Yeah, fair. That might be it. No, that legitimately might be it. That might be the two scout troopers that we see. Or no,
Sudeikis and Adam Pally.
Or did IG killed them last season? I thought.
Yeah, he did. IG killed them.
I'm just throwing shit at a wall to make, and you bought into it, so head candidate yourself.
my other thought was how long until Galaxy's Edge at Disney World adds blue macarons as a snack you can purchase.
I hope so.
They're open.
Davlin makes a great point to also show how dangerous it is. And
that drop was pretty awesome.
But here's the thing. That is clearly, there's no other way to leave that hangar.
There is, though. There's clearly the door that gets shut on them.
But you're not going to fit a speeder bike in that. Oh, you had to go topside. Okay.
There was clearly one that they were going
because I was like,
but the speeder bikes are pointed. But the speeder bikes are pointed. When we see the hangar door open, the speeder bikes are pointed that way.
I mean, at the end of the day, this is a fantasy story, so I'm not really too wrapped up about it.
That's the kind of stuff
this is the type of conversation Sean and I'll have about Star Wars. He and I have different interests in what. Like Sean is more about the logistics of warfare.
How do all these troopers eat? What do they do?
What are they eating?
Yeah.
Can I say real quick?
How the ships work, and I'm just like, was it cool and fun?
I want to shout out the fact that they did show the Mando eating. They showed Din eating at the beginning of the episode, still having the helmet on while he was feeding Baby Yoda, and I thought that was incredible.
I love that. Yeah, when
I'm gonna tell
he
you
lifted,
right now.
He's gonna show Yoda his face, and then he just it was sort of like how Roka had his drink on the bootleg match.
That's right. That's right.
Right.
I'm gonna call it right now. The last shot of the season is him taking off his helmet and revealing himself to.
I 100%
whoever
agree with you.
I think that's the last shot. Of the season.
You're giving me PTSD, Sean.
I do agree with you because I do think that
I 100% agree that he's gonna end this season with, and then in season 3 he will wear his mask a lot less because I think it's no secret next week we'll run into Ahsoka, and I think Bo-Katan will come back and he'll have more talks with Bo-Katan and the other Mandos she was with.
Yeah.
And he will start to learn that there are more than one way to be a Mandalorian, and covering your face is not a necessity.
Yeah.
And of course, we don't know if we're going to see Sabine this season or not, who would also be able to impart some of that thought process to him.
It plays into exactly what we've talked about from day one of doing the recap show. It is that Din is on a journey to figure out what being a Mandalorian really means, and it's not the thing that he thinks it is. He always believes you have to wear the helmet. He's been indoctrinated in this way, but just because you wear the helmet doesn't make you Mandalorian. There's more that he has to learn, and I think we're seeing that, especially with him raising Baby Yoda. We talked about it with the very first episode. He's learning.
Well, it's a very luchadorish type thing because it's and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's because the weapons make I forgot her name.
The armorer?
Yes, the armorer. She asks him, "Have you ever taken off your helmet?"
In front of anyone.
And then she also asks, "Has anyone ever taken it off of you?"
Right.
Because it's if someone defeats them and takes their helmet off, that's also a way for them to lose their status, I guess.
Yeah, like Shane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disowned.
So my first point is that I agree with Jill. Pedro has an incredibly charming face, and I would like to see more of it. And my second point is to what PJ was saying about how this is a story about watching Mando, how to be a Mando. Has a lot of resonance in terms of my friend Sean Sullivan, because his story is watching a man learn how to become a human.
I think that all this, as we've talked about, it leads to we're on the chase sequence. The chase sequence is very visually cool, which leads to
it's a lot of fun. I know when I first watched the episode and I was talking to PJ, I was kind of down on it, and I have issues, but where it matters, it was fun. And I was, like I said, I was really impressed with what Carl was able to pull off, because I'm not sure he's directed anything before.
He's directed. I looked. He'd done TV movies, I think, and a couple episodes of television, but he'd never done anything humongous. And that was what was so cool, is when they hired him, Favreau promised he'd get directed and made good on that promise.
I don't say this to discredit his work or the work of any of the directors, but when you have a big budget show like this, you have a second unit team. You have ADs who are in place who tend to be consistent from episode to episode, who are there to help you both match the visual style of the show and assist you in building those action scenes. But still, the adventure and emotional beats of it and all of that is still very much the director. So he did a really great job.
And I'll say this: I think that tonally, this show has been much more consistent this season than last season. I think the directors have ebbed and flowed much better into each episode. And that's not a dig at last season. Last season was a training ground for doing this. But every episode was, you could tell when certain directors came in and out, especially Filoni, his style was much different than everyone else's, which is why I'm so curious about next week.
Well, and Filoni directs next week.
Right.
So I think this is a good time for Sean to bring up the...
So, Davlin, I will take this moment to answer your question. So, I'm not looking at D&D Party. I am looking at...
Ferris, did we talk about the
Edge of the Empire?
No, we haven't even gotten there yet. I promise.
I'm looking at Edge of the Empire. So, Din is clearly bounty hunter, a gadgeteer. Star Wars Edge of the Empire. Kara is clearly hired gun. No, heavy.
Right.
Mercenary heavy. Grief is and I gotta remember the fucking classes in this. Oh man, I thought I was so prepared. I wasn't.
You're never prepared.
I am so prepared in that I'm now ordering this game on Amazon as you talk about it.
Oh, it's wonderful. Well, Max, don't order it yet. We'll talk about it.
I can say real quick, this is something we have discussed, Sean and I, at great length, actually. Behind the scenes.
I think it's okay to say that, in the new year, we have lots of new content ideas for the channel and some sort of, if not weekly, bi-weekly RPG show.
Monthly.
Monthly RPG show will be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that will happen. But yeah, Dark Troopers. Let's talk about Dark Troopers.
Yeah, let's jump into the
Yeah,
end of this.
I was going to say this is a great time for Sean to bring up that visual aid and show and tell he wanted to do about half an hour ago.
So I would like to. I want to find out who is everyone here at least somewhat familiar with what a Dark Trooper is.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So Dark Troopers were introduced in Star Wars Dark Forces, the game for the
PC.
PlayStation 1 and the computer. You have 3 series of Dark Troopers. You've got the Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3. This was part of the Dark Trooper project. Each one more scary than the last. Now, these aren't canon, right? There's no Dark Troopers in canon?
Not that we've seen
Not
yet.
new canon,
Not yet.
All right,
because none
so
of
let's
that
go
is
ahead and hit the next slide. So this is just a cool picture of the Phase 3 Dark Trooper. It's just badass. I just have it. Again, these are legends. So a Dark Trooper is not a trooper per se. It is a battle droid. It is a very sophisticated battle droid. If I remember correctly, they are using IG programming. I'm not 100% sure about that. Don't quote me. Also doesn't matter. It's legends. Star Wars Rebels gave us the Imperial Sentry Droid, and I believe these are DT series Sentry Droids. They are very similar to the Dark Trooper in design. This is the reason I have this image. They're very similar in the Dark Trooper design. They're a little more spindly. They're also cartoon. Bador, what are you talking about? Dark Troopers aren't... Oh, yes, they are. Dark Troopers are, in fact, in canon in Star Wars Commander and Star Wars Uprising. Now, I don't have the image ready for this episode. I forgot to prep that one. I had to Google it. I forgot to Google it. But if you look at the frame of the Dark Troopers in this episode and these shots of the Dark Trooper from Star Wars Uprising and Star Wars Commander, which are mobile games, they're terrible. Don't play them. Their silhouette matches exactly. The same way that the little chest outline thing here works, the silhouettes are the same. Now, we don't have as many of the red lights, but they are canon. I keep seeing people say, well, they're bringing things in from Legends. No, they're already fucking canon.
I mean,
But they're
It's
from
very
shitty mobile
impactful.
games that no one fucking cares about. So there's my diatribe. We're done.
So
All
why
right.
do you think that Gideon has these, and what's the? I
Because
wanna
if
hear
you
from-
need to kill some Mandalorians, how better to do it than Dark Troopers? Scary ass fucking robots that Jedi have a hard time killing. And what else do we know? We know people around the galaxy are trying to kill Din and other Mandalorians for what? For their Beskar. So what do you build these Dark Troopers out of?
Oh, that'd be interesting. Beskar, yeah. Yeah. I also think these are robotic because they're gonna be fodder for Ahsoka to slice up. You know, you don't want to see her actually going through troopers. Could be a little gruesome, I guess. But I
Well-
mean, it could work. But I mean, it'd still be cool to see Ahsoka do some damage against these type of droids. You know.
We also know that, like, one thing I've seen through this whole season and a little bit at the end of last season, the stakes for Din are low. He's nigh invincible in that armor. Yes, taking a large explosion, gave him a severe concussion that he was going to die from because he
That's
didn't want to take his helmet
internal
off.
damage, man.
I know.
No joke.
I know. I've had 6 concussions. Don't worry. I know that. I know the struggle. Max's face. Yes, I have. But yeah. I think that will give Din a pretty severe threat to face. And I think that's what purpose they'll serve.
Yeah, I wonder if and they make it look like an army, but I wonder if there'll be like a squadron that's kind of like that is just dispatched to hunt down Din.
Yeah,
it
looked like there were maybe, it looked like there were maybe 24 of them. I mean, an Aquitans isn't very big.
Interesting thought.
Well, and the other thing, so also in one of those games, I think it was Star Wars Uprising, we also had something called a Purge Trooper, which looks like a Dark Trooper. Yeah, okay. just a note.
Yeah, I thought it was a really cool visual, number one, seeing it, but I did get a little bit giddy when I saw him because I was taken back to playing that game on PC, and I was like, holy shit, I haven't seen these in so long because I am not playing the mobile games. So to me, it was like bringing it into the canon because I hadn't seen it to this point. Dwayne, what are you hoping to see out of this as a reveal?
I mean, I'm not gonna get what I would like to get,
but I want to hear what you like to get.
Brought out of Legends from those games in particular, because
Hogtarn?
Yes, my favorite Star Wars character. So, so I don't think that'll happen. But I also got very giddy seeing them in the show because although yes, it wasn't them bringing them into canon with the show, it is bringing them to the masses, and it's going to bring people back to those games, which Dark Forces 2 is my favorite Star Wars game. So what are you finding, Sean?
It's interesting you bring that up, Dwayne, because like one of the things obviously Disney's been big on with Legends has also been building out on some of the Legends stuff and trying to make it canon. Obviously, we did see it with Thrawn. They made it a big deal. They've already released 4 Thrawn books in canon in the last several years, which is crazy, plus him being in Rebels, plus the rumors that we might see him pop up in a new live action series. There's just so much to take away from that. So, you say that, but I wouldn't be shocked if you ended up seeing that character brought into canon, even if it's a different way. I'm still wondering if we're ever going to see like Dash Rendar and some of the stuff from Shadows of the Empire brought in, because
I think he's mentioned in canon. I don't know where.
I'm just saying, because Prince Zizor was another one where it was like there's a lot to.
He's canon now, right?
Is he?
Yeah, he was in Clone Wars, the final episodes.
Was he?
Yeah, in the.
I know that we do have. Okay. I know that we do have his species.
Oh, that's right. You're right. I do remember that now. Yep, you're 100% correct.
So, quick note, Frank. You were just talking about the numbers of how many there were. Mm-hmm. So we'll go to the next slide. The Arquitans cruiser here.
I love this. We get a whole visual guide.
Is 325 meters long. To put that in perspective, a Star Destroyer is 1,600 meters long. So this is what I was saying earlier about the size of the ship. Yeah. He doesn't have a sizable, I think he's a pretender. I think he's done some things. I think he's probably responsible for the Purge. But,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to see Kyle Katarn come in somehow.
I would too.
That is what I would like to see. And
what if they bring him in without being a Jedi?
I would be fine with that because he didn't start as a Jedi. So
yeah.
And I think that it's possible with us not knowing what Ahsoka has been doing and is up to. So we wouldn't be able to bring him in the way he originally was brought in Legends as, a apprentice of Luke who became the second most powerful Jedi. Because obviously we know Luke did not really bring the Jedi back. Right. So maybe they bring him in as a associate of Ahsoka, possibly. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
that's true. I think it would be great.
or a he could be a New Republic agent or something. Because that's kind of what he was in the first couple games. Rebellion agent. I mean, he's responsible for stealing the Death Star plans in Legends, so give him that.
Well, Buck brought it up. We hadn't discussed it yet, but did they discuss next week's episode title? No, we haven't. But next week's episode, as we've heard, is called The Jedi. It is rumored to be about an hour long. 58 minutes, I believe, is what the runtime has been rumored to be.
I didn't want to know that.
It's being published everywhere. I'm sorry, Sean.
No.
And it is directed by Dave Filoni and written by as well, I believe. So this is the episode everyone's been waiting for.
What if we don't get Ahsoka?
I've wondered that actually.
What if they do? What if they do all that and like to throw us off, and they just were like, and like even if Filoni is behind it, and he's like, I'm gonna not direct the episode that Ahsoka's in.
Bador, maybe you can answer this for me. Do we know the name of the planet where Luke started his new Jedi Order?
Yeah, and I've wondered too, Dwayne, to your point, like, could you imagine, say, if one of the things we saw was like a younger Luke in the episode, or a different Jedi, if you will, that sends them into the right place? I mean, obviously, I feel like that's not going to happen because they made sure to name drop Ahsoka in the episode 4. And we know that's exactly who he's looking for. But what if we did see more?
Wait, hold on.
In this one?
I got one for you. So we know most likely Ahsoka is going to be played by Rosario Dawson.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I've got a follow-up question to this. But what if it's not Ahsoka, just another Togruta pretending to be Ahsoka?
Huh.
I hadn't thought about that.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
What if? What if?
No, Sean.
That's some real Frank Janis shit right there.
That's exactly what that is.
What the fuck?
You never go full Frank Janish.
Never
Sean.
go full Frank Janis.
Not if you're me. Not if you're me.
So my actual question is, how all of us watched Rebels and Clone Wars.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
How weird is it going to be to see
not
Ahsoka not voiced by Ashley Eckstein?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be weird.
And are they going to do Darth Maul and have Ray Park with Sam Witwer's voice?
No,
I don't think so.
Nah.
But I will say, as I forget who said it, but it's something I was watching earlier this week when they were talking about this episode. So someone said that the last time we saw Ahsoka, that she was not a Jedi, which is not true, because Yoda specifically said to her, when she took her lightsabers back, that she was still a Jedi.
In Rebels?
Yes. So like he I forget the exact way he says it, but he basically said is like, you don't have to be part of the Jedi to be a Jedi. Just like the Mando is like, you don't have to keep your helmet on to be a Mandalorian. Like,
right.
Basically the same message.
It was the point of The Last Jedi too, was that you didn't have to follow the text to be a Jedi.
In my opinion, Ahsoka is the most Jedi.
Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So some people have been saying like, oh, it's not Ahsoka because she's not a Jedi, and it's like, yes, she is.
Ferris, I'm not saying that Darth Maul will show up with Ray Park's body and Sam Witwer's voice. I'm saying that they will use Rosario Dawson as the physical
Body.
Ahsoka with Eckstein's voice.
He is right. Maul is
dead. Ferris,
Is
you
he?
are correct.
Is he though? Is he though?
Let's talk about that article that came out.
What article?
What article?
So the original plan for the sequel trilogy was to have Maul as the. So Max, what were you going to
We
say?
talked about this last week.
I know. I'm just Max was
Fucking
going to say.
asshole.
No, I was just going to say, with all respect to Ashley, she's not
Physically,
a live-action actress.
Yeah.
Right?
And she doesn't physically fit the bill.
As opposed to Katie Sackhoff, who is and fits the physicality of Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. It's a little awkward to have like this one example where a character
Yeah.
that had only been in animation played by the same actress, but that actress happened to have the skill sets. And I don't know, I can't speak for her, but I sort of feel like Ashley was like, I am not an actress. This is not,
She
I
said
don't know. I also
before
just
that
love
she would
Ahsoka,
like.
and I'm excited to see her very
had,
much.
She had said that she would like to.
She's cosplayed
Portray-
as. She's cosplayed
She
as.
has. She has said in the past that if they had ever done a live action Ahsoka, she would like to play.
Well,
Ahsoka.
maybe they're throwing
But-
us all off, and it will be Ashley. Who knows? Anything's possible.
That's why I mentioned the fake to Gruden.
Yeah. Also,
That would be
Brandon,
cruel, man. If it was her as the fake, that would be.
Brandon,
would be
to your
so
point,
cruel.
Ahsoka is not exactly a tall person either.
I don't know. I mean,
she's tall.
No,
taller,
yeah, you're right.
but,
And
like,
look,
you can.
I know I see Bedore saying it. I hope they dub the voice. I don't want to be this person, but you don't get Rosario Dawson and not have her be Rosario Dawson.
Well,
Like,
they might.
but
match the voices.
Ray Park is not an actor. Ray Park.
Sure, he is. He was told.
he had one line of dialogue. He was Snake Eyes, who had no dialogue. Ray Park's not really an actor.
I know.
No, I know. And so, like, it made sense there. With this situation,
There's also something to be said about having a white woman dub over an actress of color. That is,
that's a very bad,
pretty bad choice as far as I'm concerned.
I would be with you 99% of the time if she wasn't like the
already
voice.
The voice.
Like
That's
she
fair
is
point.
the voice.
Yeah, I'm gonna Max. I'm gonna agree with you in premise. I'm gonna disagree with you in this scenario.
Yeah, 99% of the time. Like if it was an original character and they did that,
that's fucked up. Yeah,
I would say that's super fucked
Like
up.
if Sasha Banks came in and they dubbed over Sasha Banks with someone else.
Yeah. But Ashley did originate
I don't know
the character.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
but I don't know that Rosario Dawson couldn't get near an Ahsoka Ashley Eckstein type of voice.
agreed.
So I don't know that to not be true. So we'll just have to.
And I think Rosario is very talented. I think she's shown she has a lot of range because you can look at like Rent and Clerks 2, and then look at some of the other more action-based stuff. Like she can do it all. So.
Yeah,
it's a complicated issue.
Yeah,
I have to trust in Filoni. Ahsoka is his character.
Sure.
And I until proven otherwise, I think he knows what he's doing at the very least with Ahsoka Tano. So,
guys, if we go to the slide here, I'm just saying, if we go to the slide here, I got nothing.
Yeah.
I think
go back.
Visually, Rosario Dawson looks more like Ahsoka than Ashley does.
In that picture, I will say there is a picture where Ashley does
Which is funny because
like...
we're basically saying Rosario Dawson looks more like an alien than Ashley Eckstein. It's kind of put it that way.
That's not what I'm saying. Don't put words in my mouth. I'm talking about the bone structure.
Right.
I think
an alien bone structure. You're right.
I think the
God
voice
damn it,
isn't,
Frank. Who let him here? Who let him in?
Yeah,
it's gone.
I don't think the voice is gonna be a problem really, because also Ahsoka is older, so I think that.
There's that aspect.
There's a reason for the voice to be slightly different.
I mean, this will be the oldest we've ever seen Ahsoka.
Can I also say I'm just glad that that Rosario is getting this role because she put that out into the universe years ago that she wanted this role.
True.
And now she's getting it.
She fan casted herself. Like
no, the fans cast her, then she responded to it.
Which gives me hope for.
I love Ahsoka more than almost any other character.
I'm right there with you. She's like top 3 for me all time. Star Wars.
Possibility of me adding to my BB-8 tattoo with an Ahsoka tattoo is better than it's not. Mm-hmm. It's very likely at some point. So
I would love some little like short animated.
I don't know what's happening with these things.
I would love some little short animated thing like Star Wars was doing on YouTube. I think.
Oh yeah, little.
But like, what if just like Ahsoka and BB-8 ran into each other? Like, because the timelines aren't that far, They could make it happen.
They could, because we don't know what happens to Ahsoka later on. I mean, that's obviously something Filoni wants to explore, which is why we're seeing so much setup in this season for potentially doing his Rebels sequel in live action.
Mhm.
And that's the other reason they're getting Rosario, because at the end of the day, you could make a Boba Fett series, right, with Tamara Morrison in the lead, because Boba Fett is a character as an IP.
Oh,
is
yeah,
very popular.
That's another thing that's still lingering over this season is when are we going to see Tamara again
Next
right.
season.
We're hearing
as not Boba.
as Rex.
as we
I
know,
didn't-
he is shooting something right now, apparently. So
Yeah.
we do know he's doing something. The reason you can do that is Boba Fett is, as a character and as an IP, is much bigger and much more sellable. Ahsoka, on the other hand,
Another one of those things where the masses, who at the end of the day are the ones who really make
Right.
up
that's what I was going to say.
doesn't sell, no Boba Fett, and they've expressed curiosity in what happened to him. Did he escape the Sarlacc pit? I think the premiere of this season certainly was laying the groundwork for that he did and how he could have. Whereas I think Ahsoka is popular in the people who will go to Celebration
Right.
and who are doing Mandalorian recap shows on YouTube on the PJ Campbell Network or the Gucci
Or elsewhere.
Or I know you do another show. I know which one is better and has more viewers. I see the numbers. But Ahsoka is not as popular of a character at large.
Right.
That could
And that's
change.
what I
Matt,
was-
do remember
That
we
could
do have the
change.
producer of the new Gucci verse here.
I'm just spitting facts, my friends.
It's fine. We're not exactly known for our hot commentary.
I like the Gucci verse.
on
I think
art.
it's a blast. But I watched your Star Wars show yesterday. I'm on this one today. I can see the
Yeah.
numbers.
I don't think people come for our hot Star Wars commentary.
Yeah,
They come
I
for,
think Gucci verse
they come
and
for
Star Wars
other
go
things.
together like
Lamb and
like
tuna fish.
a Jew and a cheeseburger.
Yeah. So basically, what I was getting at is that
It's not kosher, Sean. It's not
Ahsoka-
kosher.
Ahsoka as a character is sellable with an actress behind it. And
Yeah.
you needed someone
Well,
like
and I
Rosario.
I think Rosario Dawson is, not an A-list, huge, but she's well known. I think she's one of those actresses who a good majority of casual content consumers would recognize her and see her.
Right.
And
And
so I don't know.
That's kind of
Look,
what I was getting at.
nothing would make me happier than Ahsoka becoming rightfully one of the most popular Star Wars characters by everyone. So-
I agree with you, but I think that there also has to be, in this situation, as we're all talking, we all know the character, but we also have to be realistic that as a company, these are still a product, right? And you have to sell the product to the masses. And that's why you run into situations like this. Whereas with Bo-Katan, the reason you can bring her back is because she, as an actress, has been in things like Battlestar and is more
Well, I
known.
mean, her performance as Starbuck on Battlestar, I would argue, is one of the great, sci-fi performances of our generation.
And that's right, and that's the point.
Iconic character that she slayed week in and week out.
And
Right.
unlike many of her
Sean,
castmates, she did
we
not.
have a direct request from Ferris to please remove your shirt.
No, he didn't say that.
You
He
just
said
said
take
take your
Take
shirt.
your shirt. I inferred what he meant by that.
Oh,
Just like
and
you
to be
guys
fair,
inferred it was
I
Boba
mean,
Fett at the
I'm
end
not-
of the first episode.
with respect to Katie Sackhoff, unlike many of her fellow female castmates, she did not join a sex cult where they brand each other.
Yeah,
Uh,
true.
I've
check
always
out-
liked Katie Sackhoff. If she
Go
appears
check
in
out The
anything-
Vow on HBO.
Crazy. I've seen it.
Oh,
Sean.
see,
Crazy.
he missed the off, which it's unfortunate.
Can't always get off,
Ferris, guess we.
All right,
Guess that request cannot be
So
fulfilled.
why don't we go around and anyone have any final thoughts and summation?
No, I don't know how we're going to do a 6-panel next week because this is a great cast, but I still want Jake coming back.
Yeah,
Jake is coming back. It's going to be all of us together. It's going to be great.
Oh,
And
boy.
real quick, I want to say before we sign off, if you guys have not watched the Star Wars Holiday Special, the Lego one that is on Disney Plus, if you're a fan, it's definitely aimed at kids, but it's got a really big heart. It's a lot of fun.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me
Star Wars is for kids?
that something called the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special
I wasn't trying to throw
is
shade.
designed for children.
Just like Star Wars in general. George Lucas has
Wow.
said shit is for kids.
My entire
Would you
worldview has been
say
shattered.
that the Lego Star Wars Holiday Special is a celebration of the Star Wars universe?
Yes,
And
I would. And what I was going to get at is I also think what's interesting is we get our first look at what a post Rise of Skywalker world looks like. It's a canon adjacent type thing, obviously not canon, but I like that we did see a little bit of what things look like in a post Rise world.
I'm going to make sure I watch it so we can talk about it on next week's
Wait,
episode.
so everything that's released now isn't canon?
Well, it's a Lego.
With Lego, it's never been fully canon, obviously.
Speaking
I'm
of
kidding.
Lego
I'm
and
kidding.
Star Wars, I am so excited for the new game that they're making that's coming out next year.
Yeah. Did anyone
yeah.
else watch the holiday special, by the way? I'm just
I have
curious.
not.
No.
not
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay.
I plan on it. I plan on it.
You guys should watch it this week so we can talk about it next week, because I'd like to have everyone. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts, because it does some stuff that's very interesting, actually, and it plays a little bit with things that I felt like Rebels set up. I don't want to get too deep into
Well,
it.
why don't we wait and see if it wins our watch along poll, and then
Well,
we do it then.
the watch along poll is currently tied at 2 apiece, which is going to be interesting.
guys, if you're a patron, go ahead and vote in our patron poll.
Or if you're not a patron, join. $5 and up, you get to vote on
Look at
watch
this.
along.
We have a tier for everybody: Sapphire, Emerald, Ruby, Gold, and for our high rollers, Platinum. And I know it says limited to 1 a month, but this month proved that if you want it, we'll open up as many slots if you want to give us $50.
Max is real good at opening up slots.
I
here's
have.
Oh, this isn't Box. I'm sorry.
I have ample slot opening experience.
God.
It's been a while. I would need some poppers.
Whoa!
Whoa!
Stay tuned, because we are going to be making some changes to the Patreon.
Whoa.
That should come today. We're going to have to talk to Christopher Clark about changing the graphic. But yeah, stay tuned.
And if you guys
The
join,
Patreon.
by the way, if you join tonight, or if you join this afternoon, anyone in the chat right now, if you're not at the $5 and up tier, now's the perfect time to do it, because we are going to do our Q&A tonight. I think Dwain is actually going to come on and hang out for a little bit too. Frank, you're always welcome. Sean will be here. There's going to be a bunch of us hanging out, taking questions, probably drinking, knowing us. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Probably be.
So if you like to hear me talk about poppers,
Yeah, so come hang out with us.
If you'd like to know what a popper is,
yes, that's probably a more relevant question for the majority of our
Goddamn right,
PJCN
Randy.
I
viewers.
mean, I know, but for
I-
people at home,
I know what they are.
Oh,
All right,
I'm
let's
sure
get the
you
fuck
do,
outta
Dwayne.
here.
I'm sure
Frank,
you
where can
do.
everyone find you online?
you can find me at.
I said Frank, not Sean.
Oh,
God damn it, Sean. You had one job.
This is awkward. You can
love
find me on you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at FrankieJ29. Also, let me plug this trailer for our good friend Kevin Smets. He does. I don't know if anyone's familiar out there that he does
Yes.
this Code Wars series,
Yes.
and he released a
Oh man, I wish. Hold on.
a
let's watch it.
trailer. Oh, you would? Yeah. Okay.
Devlin, I'll send you the link tonight. I know
There
you're
you
only
go.
at the 2, but I'll get you in tonight. We'll get you on.
You can't click on the link, but you can copy and paste it. What I just put in the chat.
Okay, perfect.
but-
I'll pull it up and we'll watch it. In the private chat? No.
So no, in the chat.
why don't we close out on that? Why don't we? We'll go through our plugs. We can close out.
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that.
that's fine. I just
I'll just say that Kevin, him and his couple of his friends, they take the KOTOR engine and created the movies from the game, but now they're doing a series on Revan from the engine of that game. Kevin wrote it, and I think it's coming out next month, like the actual series, but they just put out the trailer today.
Yeah, I love that Kevin's been doing this. The fact that he's still seeing it through all the way to the end is fucking awesome. And again, I brought it up last night. If you guys haven't, the Smash-a-thon shirts for Smash Cancer are also still available. All proceeds are going to Kevin and his family. Please donate to that to get a shirt.
For the bonfire campaign on the shirts is good until December 10th.
Yeah.
And then the campaign ends. I would love to reach our goal of selling 100 shirts because with Bonfire, it's specifically designed for fundraising. So as opposed to TeePublic or other places, we get a significantly larger profit margin, all of which is going directly to Kevin.
Maxwell, do you know how many we've sold so far? About
Last time I
Brady
looked,
just
it was
put in
like
the link, too.
48, 49.
okay.
So
Cool.
I would love to hit 100 by December 10th.
You can find me at Burkmate on Twitter and Twitch and Instagram. Right now, we're streaming a lot of Among Us. We may be doing some Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Yeah.
What about you,
Find
Dwayne?
me on the. You can also you can find me on Twitter at SuitUpSully, Twitch at Sean Sully. Right now, we're playing Breath of the Wild, The Legend of Sully, and we're kind of struggling with some dungeons, but we'll get there.
That's pretty much Sean's life is struggling with things. Let's be fair. You guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at PJ_Campbell. You can find me here hanging out with all my friends, having a good time. We talk, we watch movies, we hang out, we make fun of Sean, and it's the best. You guys can find me at the Movie Trivia Schmodown. I write the questions. Be nice to the writers. We're doing a great job, in my opinion. Frank is also over there where he does numbers, and that's why we love him.
Oh, actually, I probably should
Yeah, what do you got, Dwayne?
say that you can also find me on the Schmodown Inner Geekdom Show with Winston A. Marshall and Schmodown Backstage. On
What a
Yeah,
shill.
Tuesdays.
What a shill.
Proud of you, brother. Proud of you.
I forgot about those. I gotta.
Hey,
redo
look,
my,
Wild Chris
plug.
Clark appeared.
No. That's great.
All right. Let's get the hell out of here.
Roll the
you can
tape.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at CinemaXwell, Instagram CinemaXwell Inc. Also, if you don't already, please follow the network Twitter at PJC Network. Check out the Unwind tomorrow night. We're being joined by Paul Preston and Adam Witt.
Hey, I beat one of those guys.
And I'm gonna roll this trailer. Let's do
Real
it.
quick before we do that, you can also find me on Twitter and Salad at Chris Clark 8788. That's the
You mean
number,
that
not
guy
the
right
word.
there?
Numbers
Look at it.
mean
Look at it.
nothing.
There he is. Hi,
He's
No,
Sean.
it's the
hiding.
number, not the word.
Oh, Mama Steve.
Oh, Mamacita.
Can I roll the tape now?
Roll the tape. Let's do
Rails
it.
go.
All
Roll
right.
the tape.
This is my first trailer reaction.
Oh.
Hell yeah, son.
I got chills. Oh,
Is that
So-
where did he get the music done? That's some good fucking Star Wars music.
He does a lot of
I would-
scavenging and modding of music. Kevin.
I know everyone says like when they make more Star Wars movies post Skywalker saga they want it to be unrelated, but man, I would love a Knights of the Old Republic
Yeah,
trilogy.
yeah,
truly.
I would too.
Yes.
I really would too.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what that the area Ryan Johnson's cooking up if he gets to do his trilogy.
I hope so. I hope
And
so.
just a quick more plug for Smets. If you're not familiar with the KOTOR series and all that and haven't played the games, you can go and watch his 3 films he made based off the game engine, and you'll learn the story that way if you don't play the game.
But I
And,
believe I mean the games are very affordable now on
Sure.
Steam or on the Xbox shop if you haven't played them. It's one of the great. I love Knights of the Old Republic very much.
I think the first KOTOR is like $10.
Yeah.
right now.
The second one hasn't aged nearly as well, but if you buy it on Steam, you can download some mods that will kind of fix some things.
Totally.
The game was unfinished when it came out. So
Cool.
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, with that, I think we'll
Yeah, I
get
was
out of
going
here
to say
for the
from
week.
myself, from PJ, from Sean, from Frank, from Dwayne. May the force be with you, and we'll see you next time.